And what's neat about this social space is that many organizations coming up are looking at how they're going to grow. Well, maybe there's an opportunity to not necessarily skip email, but you can go directly to where people are, whether that's in Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever that might be. It enables organizations to really have a fresh perspective on how to build their particular cause.
Are you looking for ways to shorten your marketing learning curve and help your organization survive and thrive? Welcome to Relish This, the Purpose Marketing Podcast, a show for purpose-focused leaders who want to use marketing techniques to fuel their organization's growth. If you're a returning listener and you haven't subscribed already, we'd love to have you. Also, please consider leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Now here's your host, author and marketing specialist, Stu Swineford.
Hey everybody, Stu here. If there's one takeaway from today's show, it's that you need to go over to Facebook right now and make sure that Facebook Giving Tools is turned on for your organization. That being said, my guest today is an amazing individual named Nick Black, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Good United. And they have a really cool system that allows organizations, nonprofits, to engage with their potential audiences through Facebook messaging. It's unique, it is cutting edge, and it is something that almost every nonprofit could take advantage of. And so if you listen to this episode, I'm sure you're going to get a ton out of it. Nick and I talked a lot about persona development and a lot about just Facebook in general and how to make sure that your message is really hitting the nail on the head, and that you're able to engage with your audiences basically where they show up. Good United is this amazing organization that lets you do all of those things. I really hope you enjoy the show. There's a lot of good information here. Here we go. Hey, Nick, how are you doing?
I'm well, sir. Yourself?
I am very well. Thanks for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk with you and learn about all the amazing things that you are doing at Good United. I took a peek at your website, which is goodunited.io, and you just crossed a really major milestone there at Good United in terms of the amount of money that you've helped the nonprofits raise strictly through Facebook. Is that accurate?
That's it. $1 billion. Not bad, huh?
No, that is not bad at all. I think the metric that I saw in your welcome video was that 1 out of every $6 raised for charity on Facebook comes through your platform. Is that accurate, or is one of your partners?
Yeah, that we have the honor to serve. But we're just so thankful and humbled to be able to work with incredible organizations that change the world every day.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's amazing. So, Facebook fundraising for nonprofits. I guess maybe they're calling themselves Meta these days.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help people in the nonprofit space raise more funds through their participation on that platform.
Yeah. So as you said, Good United has helped the world's largest nonprofits raise over $1 billion. We've done that through customized, meaningful messaging, mostly happening in Facebook. And Stu, where this came about is that I actually started a nonprofit myself in 2011 called Stop Soldier Suicide. I did that leaving the military and realized very quickly how hard it was to fundraise, but really specifically how hard it was to build relationships with the average donor. As you may and your audience may know, is that nonprofits, they just don't have the tools to reach out to the average person. As such, they have to focus on those people with the largest wallets. So my business partner and I came together and asked ourselves, what would the world be like if every donor, every person could have that meaningful relationship that's they reserve for the wealthy? So what we realized is that we can start to chip away and be able to build meaningful relationships and conversations where people spend time. And today that's in some social networks. So we built our technology on top of conversational messaging, I think through Messenger, Instagram, DMs, WhatsApp, and through the combination of human judgment and data science, we're able to empower our partners to send the right message to the right person at the right channel at the right time to drive repeat action. And we're really excited about where we've been, and more importantly, where we're going.
Nice. So when you say channels, are those strictly within Facebook in terms of whether this is a DM or a video or a boosted post or what have you, or do you work outside of that ecosystem as well?
So today we focus about 99% on Facebook because that's the
Okay.
general business case of where dollars are coming for nonprofits. And we build our technology on top of Messenger, so the conversational messaging piece.
Okay.
With that, one-to-one conversations. But we're really excited about additional channels coming online in the Meta universe. Instagram's this hidden giant that we've been looking at and working with the Meta team for a while to find that use case. But it's been wild. This world kind of opened up in 2017 with the start of birthday fundraisers in Facebook, and it's just caught fire. And ceiling continues to double every year.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really cool how you're leveraging that technology within the technology, and really trying to capture something that's there, that's very unique to Facebook. And how do you do that? Do you help people kind of prospect within Facebook, or are you just helping them leverage the existing connections that they have that can use the messaging piece of that platform?
Yeah, we think about it two ways. One is more organic, so inbound. So there are a lot of users within the Facebook or Meta universe that start fundraisers on behalf of nonprofits. We have our organizations to engage with, thank, and cultivate those supporters in channel. The second piece is more proactive. So how can we start virtual fundraisers or activate people to get engaged with that nonprofit?
Okay, that's really neat. Are these typically kind of? It sounds like there's a couple of different options there. One might be more of a time-based campaign, and the other might be more of an ongoing campaign. Is that accurate? Did I get that right?
Absolutely. It's been wild to kind of see the emergence of this. Well, we're thinking of it as the third shift. Shift is not the appropriate word, but what we've seen is 20 years ago, you and I go down to a local nonprofit, write a check, and they'd want to know what our home address and telephone number was. And that's how I stay in touch. When the internet came about, well, it was a hell of a lot easier to go to a website. And when you make a transaction through a website, email is the preferred way to communicate. But I don't know about you. I don't spend 45 minutes a day, but what I've seen is about the average American spends 45 minutes a day in social networks. And so really, as we think about it, Stu, is how do we attack friction of the donor or the user experience at every step of the way? And we attack friction by keeping them in channel. So as such, if you're going to, make a donation in Facebook, then how do we engage with you in Facebook? And, one of the really interesting pieces, Stu, is that, we have the opportunity to work with incredible organizations with massive email list or house files. One of the, first hypotheses that, we had pushback about this new channel was, you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul. These people have already engaged with us. You're just going to take them from our website and put them into, Facebook. What we found, even with the world's largest nonprofits, is over 90% of the people that give are net new to their house file. So as we think about it, right, this is a whole new channel or vector of growth for organizations to get involved with.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've also experienced the challenge of moving people between channels. So trying to get someone to move from your site to Facebook or from Twitter to YouTube or whatever channel hopping you're trying to accomplish. It can be really challenging just because, like what you said, people like to stay in the channel that they're engaged in.
Yeah.
So that's really an interesting. It's an interesting item that you've tapped into, as well as to just capitalize on and really try to just reinforce the behaviors that people are already doing within that one channel, as opposed to trying to move them around.
Yeah. We think that we're rapidly moving to a world of, decentralized giving. And in that, do you play any video games, Stu?
I don't play video games too much. I did a little bit as a kid.
So I did as well. It blows my mind that people watch other people play video games online. And it blows my mind even further that people donate to watch other people video games. And some of our clients have made tens of millions of dollars by video game players donating to watch other video game players. I'm pretty sure that those people want to stay in the channel they're at and not be pushed around. And I think that's what we're going towards in the next decade, is that, whether it's Web 3.0 or Instagram or TikTok or wherever these people are, well, that's where they're spending time and that's where they want to engage with you. And the act of taking them out of channel, might be a pretty massive headwind on building the relationship with that person. So our thesis is, well, how do we start to be that central point to be able to empower organizations to be able to send the right message at the right time and the right channel to drive action? So that's, kind of our thesis and where we're going.
how do you do that? How do you know what stage of the life cycle or the engagement cycle the person is in, within that platform?
Yeah.
Are there little metrics that you're following? Are there little cues that people leave behind
So
that
I'm in an office right now, so our data science team isn't going to throw something at me. We do all this incredible data work and technology, but at the end of the day, one of the powerful pieces about conversational messaging, Stu, is the velocity or the cycle that we start to learn about someone. Just like you and I are having a conversation and we're collecting data in our brains and structuring it and figuring out what next to say. Well, through conversational messaging, think of it like a text. We can do the same
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
So as such, we have the ability to ask people. So, like as simple as it is, if you made a donation to Stop Sort of Suicide
Okay.
through messaging, we could ask you simply, "Hey, Stu, thanks so much. How do you see yourself making an impact with Stop Sort of Suicide in the future?" And the unstructured comments that you have, and we have incredible stories and narratives that people share. Well, how do we take that and turn it into structured data, and then follow up with you and give you the right message? And so
Right.
that's really this new world where we're having immediate feedback through these feedback loops that allows us to make the technology that much more stronger to deliver the next meaningful message or suggest a message to a nonprofit to to help you, to thank you, to get you engaged with whatever that cause is.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have a ton of data in terms of timing and what messaging has worked in the past and all of that good stuff as well. So you can pretty much take that bulk of expertise and all of those data and apply them toward whatever the next campaign is to have a really strong starting point in terms of understanding people's behaviors on that platform. In fact,
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing some really interesting work right now with a couple of partners, but really diving into affinity. So, how do we unpack affinity and start to be able to score it? How do we start to understand trust? How do we start to understand commitment to the cause? And so, with that, again, what's really neat about this is that working with really smart people, what are the 5 pieces of information that you want to know someone to figure out if they're a dead to rights affinity fit or not?
right?
As an example for Stop Sort of Suicide, when we ask people how they want to stay in touch, they'll share these incredible, powerful stories about a family member that might have taken their life and how they
Right.
want to get involved. Well, it's our duty as a nonprofit, as Stop Sort of Suicide, to give them that opportunity. And we'd never be able to understand that at scale unless we have technology help us.
Yeah, it's just simply impossible for us to monitor and digest and draw conclusions from such a huge amount of data.
Yeah, that's absolutely
Yeah.
right.
No, that's really cool. So who's this for? What size of nonprofit? What type of nonprofit? Is this something that everybody could benefit from if they're running a nonprofit organization?
Yeah, generally when we first started out, it was geared more towards large, big blue blood brands that you're probably
Hmm.
familiar with. But as we have, gone down this path, just like most things, technology has started to, proliferate towards smaller organizations. So we just signed the first social good partnership with Meta earlier this year, and
Okay.
one of the pilots working with them is actually how do we empower smaller organizations. So to your point, Stu, I would say any organization that has a consumer focused brand that's interested in engaging with the average supporter and getting them to donate would be interested in what we're doing with Good United, not just as a one off expense that might happen today, but how do you invest in the future and partner with us to be able to meet people wherever they are?
Yeah, that's great that you are available for some of the smaller nonprofits out there. There's so many kind of roadblocks in the nonprofit world for up and coming or startup nonprofits that
Brutal.
don't yet have a mailing list or don't yet have even have a big strong donor list. And it's like, well, we'd love to work with you, but you need to have a 10,000 email list or something like that to get started. And a lot of these guys just don't have that yet. So it's really cool to hear that you're able to help people kind of across the spectrum. Are there things that people that, leaders in nonprofit organizations might want to take, take off their list or have available before engaging with Good United?
Yeah, the first thing that you want to do is turn on the giving tools within Facebook. They're called Facebook Giving Tools. You can search it and turn those on. You're missing out on free revenue. And I'd also encourage you to do that in Instagram. The second piece is, I encourage all nonprofits to really take a hard look at their strategy and how they view that they're going to meet people wherever they are. If you're really good at direct mail, awesome. That's a great business line. If you're good at email, great. But for organizations, I'll tell you, stop sort of suicide's use case, because I can. But we start off with 0 emails, and the thought, of aggregating 100,000 to be able to get the metrics that we needed with open and click through rate just wasn't amenable. One of the stories I tell is that I actually grew up in Africa, so I spent 9 years in Africa in the 80s and 90s. What I tell people is that in Africa I never heard a phone ring. We had no house phones. And the reason being is that the countries that I lived in didn't have the balance sheet to be able to invest in the heavy infrastructure costs to set telephone poles. Well, if we zoom forward to today, everyone's on a cell phone.
Right.
So what started off as a hindrance of not having that heavy infrastructure turned into a blessing, is that technology enabled them to skip that whole generation and that heavily costly investment. And what's neat about this social space is that many organizations coming up are looking at how they're going to grow. Well, maybe there's an opportunity to not necessarily skip email, but you can go directly to where people are, whether that's in Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever that might be. It enables organizations to really have a fresh perspective on how to build their particular cause.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So essentially, make sure you have a good understanding of your audience and where those people might prefer to engage with your brand or your organization, and then just turn on the tools that are already available to you. Sounds like the good advice that you're giving right there. So that's amazing.
The other piece too is I think a lot of times nonprofits view their donors as we're going to tell them how we want them to give to us. And I think that's dead wrong. In that I've been consistently amazed about all of the seemingly strange and bizarre ways that people want to play a role in philanthropy. And I think that the opportunity and the challenge set is, how do we let people give on their terms? And I think that's what's really powerful about social giving, is that whether you want to do a hula hoop dance on TikTok, or you want to be able to do a push-up challenge, or whatever it is that engages that user, let's meet them where they're at and allow them to participate on their terms and not ours. I think the days of, like, you will show up at the rubber chicken dinner, you will show up and do the auction. Yes, that's still a thing. However, there's a whole wide world of people that care about what you do. And it might be in really, interesting and new channels and new ways of how people want to get involved.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing and wonderful that we do have so many opportunities and ability or means to help out any given organization. I mean, most of the nonprofits that we work with here at Relish Studio, as well as many of the ones that I've engaged with personally, are, they have multiple stakeholders. So they have big donors, they have individual donors, they have repeat one-time corporate sponsors. And all of these people have a variety of different ways that they might like to give. In fact, just this week, I donated a motorcycle to a Colorado bicycle organization. It was a motorcycle that I bought 25 years ago now, I guess. I can't remember exactly when. About that. Bought it in 95. And I tried to sell it for a little while and just couldn't find anyone who was interested in a bike of that age range. And so I said, well, why don't I just donate it? And someone came over yesterday and picked it up, and as soon as they sell it at auction, they'll donate that money to the charity. So, or they'll facilitate my donation to go to that charity. So, there are so many new ways of giving as well, in terms of crypto and things of that nature. So it's really cool to see you be also helping that out. So that's great.
Yeah. Another piece too is, I think oftentimes nonprofits, they confuse their audience by maybe their name or how they're positioned. The dumbest and smartest thing the co-founders and I did at Stop Soldier Suicide is called Stop Soldier Suicide, to make our logo an American flag. It's pretty idiot proof. So with that, are your social channels obvious? Is your background super obvious about what you do and the impact that you make? I'm consistently amazed by organizations that have a cryptic name. They don't know what they do, and you have to go like 3 levels deep to really get to the point. And I think that in the social world, it's all about storytelling. And so, be simple, be to the point, and tell compelling stories.
Yeah, for sure. Storytelling is such a huge component of it. And yeah, I think we talk a lot about the kind of the continuum or the on either end of the spectrum, you have clever and you have clear. And a lot of times people go, they try to get very marketing-y and they end up way over here in clever. And
I like that.
And there's no clarity. There's no understanding of what it is that they do. If you're a large organization like Nike, for example, everyone knows who Nike is. They've been around for nearly 50 years at this point, or maybe 50 years on the dot, actually. But you can say just do it, which doesn't mean anything. So you can really fall way over here into clever or cute, because you don't have to have that clarity. But when you're a startup nonprofit or a smaller entity, or someone trying to really get their foothold in in a crowded marketplace, you need to make sure that you're being clear first. And then if you can get to both clear and clever and get some overlap in that particular Venn diagram, then you've nailed it. But in the absence of in the combination of those two, you definitely want to err on the side of clarity.
Yeah, I agree. I love that, clever to clear. That's a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah, it seems to be something people can wrap their arms around. It goes not just for branding and not just for naming, but also for your core message. I mean, we see a lot of really pithy, very clever, very cute kind of, we do it all for you or whatever. And it's like, well, okay, that's great, but it's not clear enough. We don't have the opportunity here to answer the questions. What is this? Who is it for? And how does it make their life better? And those three questions need to be answered right off the bat. And if you can do that when you're creating your name, that's even better. So I love that you guys just cut right to the chase there with your organization.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a hard road, but I think that's always helped being super clear.
So what are some of the things that you've seen work really well? Is there messaging cadence? Are there any any things that really surprised you in the way that people have started to engage there in the meta universe?
Well, I think the fact that people are new to House Files is the most surprising thing. The second piece is, how much people are willing to share and engage in these new channels. The stories that people share about why they're engaged with the cause, how they're willing to participate and to take action is powerful as well. And I think that gets to that maybe in the past, I can speak for Stop Source Suicide again, but we don't have the technology or the scale or the employees to be able to reach out to every person and give them that option to do something. And so, with the technology for the first time, we can give them a somewhat meaningful experience and say, here's the action you can take next, or what do you want to do next, and give them that follow through. So that's been amazing that the average person really does want to engage and wants to do, to help out with the mission.
Yeah. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of the amazing questions and more detail that I'd love to get to understand exactly how you guys are doing this. And I know that that's part of your algorithm and your secret sauce. When people embark on this, are they, what's the investment that they need to make? How do they engage with your organization?
Well, we work with each to make sure that we're a fit. So we have the Good United platform, which is a monthly fee. And then if needed, we have all the professional services to make everything turnkey. So generally what we see is people coming to us wanting to start a virtual challenge, a Facebook challenge, and then add the platform to deal with the organic fundraisers to be able to do that as well. So if you go to goodunited.io, sign up for, talk with our team, and, we'll be happy to see if we could be a service or not.
Nice. How do you see, have you seen any backlash around Facebook in the last couple of years? I know that, they had this really great, rocket ship sort of rise, and then, had some kind of interesting squickiness that occurred with the platform itself.
Yeah.
Have you seen backlash there, or have you seen any fall off on giving on the platform?
We have not. Giving, I think, started in 2017 and has, seemingly doubled. The amount of time it takes to raise $1 billion has been cut down by half. And, just from the Wall Street quarterly reports, I think the first quarter ever was Q1, where I think they went down in average users, but it seemingly still goes up and to the right. And Instagram's
Mm-hmm.
coming on strong. So we haven't seen any backlash, but, the other piece here is not everyone's on Facebook, and that's okay. But we need to meet people that are, I think it's 2/3 of the country. So that's a good place to start.
It's really funny when you look at demographics, and, and certainly those change as platforms age, and it's also really interesting to kind of hear what people say about them. But yeah, like what you just said, 2/3 of the country is on Facebook. So even though it may not be the place that has the most teenagers or 20 somethings, there's certainly plenty of those or plenty of people within those demographics that are using that platform. And so, I think that as a space to start playing it, it's certainly, one of the bigger playgrounds for sure. And as they continue to engage with other platforms. So for example, buying Instagram, that just, creates a whole new demographic and a whole new channel that people enjoy in a different way, for people to play in. And you mentioned early on that Facebook and Instagram were going to just have more and more integration. Is that something that people will have to manage on those two platforms, or does your system enable people to kind of have a portal to get to those two platforms at one place?
Yeah, we see that being a huge problem into the future. So we're actively working today to ensure that we can uniquely identify, each individual, to ensure that we can meet Stu wherever he wants to be, whether that's in Facebook or in Instagram or wherever.
Okay, so you're adjusting the platform to be people-centric as opposed to platform-centric. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, people-centric for each organization. So, we have such a huge mission set for Stop Source Suicide. We try to build a lot of things for them and our clients, but it's about how do we increase the lifetime value of each individual person, and doing that, we need to build a authentic relationship. We need to show recognition of all the great stuff that person's doing, and then we need to meet people where they're most likely to engage.
Right. So you're really leveraging the platform as a two-way street, which is another challenge that I think people have with social media. They tend to get on it and just kind of use it as a soapbox, as opposed to really developing those relationships or trying to create those back and forths. Do you have advice for clients or for nonprofits who are struggling with that?
I think, today it's we're at the very infancy stages, I think, in this new world. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think that, engage with the people that you have, get them linked into your CRM, and try to follow up with them an email, but, and just reach out to Good United and see if we can help you. We don't have all the answers. We're starting off in this space as well, but we got a clear mission vision, and, we're hellbent to accomplish.
That's great. Who are some of the test cases that you've worked with that have really seen the Facebook Meta kind of engagement work really well for them? Is it kind of everybody, or does it take a lot of adjustment and fine tuning to get your program up and running once you engage either on that platform or with Good United?
It depends. I think a lot of organizations, we have to find, product market fit, for lack of a better phrase, for them. So as such, as we think about virtual challenges, we charge per fundraiser created to ensure that we have skin in the game. So that's why, it's truly a partnership where, we believe in that cause and see, how we can find fit with this new audience and this new channel. Some organizations that we publish with is Susan G. Komen, American Cancer Society. We've also done some interesting stuff with American Indian College Fund. So I think it's organizations of all sizes and scope, that if you have a cause that resonates with an average, Joe, an average American, and I think there's an opportunity to meet them in this new channel.
That's great. That's encouraging for for all the nonprofits out there who are struggling to figure out where they should be playing to get more donations and drive their ability to serve more people or serve their cause more effectively. So that's encouraging that it's something that can work for everybody. And I know you touched on the size piece a little bit ago, but it's just fun to hear how. How there's this opportunity out there for people. How did you guys come about this idea? What was it that spawned your thinking here? Was it frustration with your own organization and trying to figure that out, or was there something else?
Yeah, it
Okay.
sure was. It was, in the early days of Stop Soldier Suicide, we did a wine tasting event in Northern Virginia that overlooked the DC Mall in Arlington, Virginia. And my family, reached out to their entire network, and we're trying to hustle local businesses for donations for the auction and all of that stuff. And I think we made $40,000, and the thing cost 20 to put on. And with that, I got an email from one of my soldiers who asked me if I got his $50 gift, and I told him, like, thanks, man, I really appreciate it. I don't know. And then talking with my business partner, I only had the capacity to focus on those that wrote the biggest checks. And that made me feel awful. And that was really the catalyst to take a look into this world and saying, what would it be like if we could give, that soldier a meaningful experience, be able to thank him, to recognize him, and to meet him where he's at, no matter how large his wallet was.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that you've seen a real uptick in repeat donations. And, we talk a lot about relationship building and how marketing is really just relationship building. And if you can create a positive experience and a positive relationship with an individual, the likelihood that they're going to continue to not only come back and support you again, but also tell everybody else about you is a lot higher. And so it sounds like this platform that you've created is really an effective way to just continue to nurture those relationships in an authentic way.
Yeah, we're working on it, Stu. It's still early days. There's a ton of technology that we need to build, but we've got the initial starting building blocks to do powerful things, to get, to collect the data and the stories and why people are doing that. And then, I'm really excited about this. I'm excited about the opportunity of, for Stop Source Suicide. I think we have over 400,000 people engaged with us in Facebook Messenger. What would it be like if we can meet each one of those people where they're at? What's the value in that? And I think it's going to be, immense.
Right. And how automated are your systems, I guess? If you have 400,000 people and you're trying to engage with as many of those as possible, clearly that becomes an automation concern. And so essentially it's the timing piece. It's looking at their responses to I'm assuming fairly automated questions that are authentic, that then determine the cadence and the messaging for the next follow-up. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's about right. And that second piece of the cultivation is really what we're rolling out in the second half of this year and the next year. And for the last 4 years, we've been focusing on the pinpoint experiences, whether they're a week-long birthday fundraiser or a 2-month-long peer-to-peer fundraiser. And then now that we're getting these people and starting to build, capacity and equity in this channel, how do we continue to engage with them?
Gotcha. No, I'm just, my brain is just spinning with ideas and opportunities and options. I know that we have a couple of partners that do some really fascinating work in terms of sweepstakes and things like that in the nonprofit space, and just enabling them to take what could be, a fairly standard kind of campaign and leverage the opportunities that you that you provide to really get that out to not only potentially a larger audience, but a really more engaged audience, or get that audience even more engaged, even in the planning phases of those campaigns. I could see this being just a huge benefit and data tool for for nonprofits of really of almost any size, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's definitely worth taking a look. And if you have Facebook giving tools turned on, if you've invested in building a community and you're telling stories, and part of your strategy is to build community and monetize that community, you should definitely take a look to see it at Good United and see if we can be a service.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Is there any other advice or any other experience that you'd like to share with the audience today in terms of things that they should think about when they're trying to expand their reach?
I think it gets back to just doing discovery with your donors and, taking the time to get on the phone, meet them in person, not just one type of person, but as many different, type of people that you can get to, and really unpack how they spend time and where they are and what are their hobbies, what do they do? Because then I think you'll find new opportunities. You won't be banging your head against the wall, and you might find something really neat. You might find a niche that your organization has a particular fit with. And I found, finding a niche, finding a starting point allows you to start getting momentum. The momentum can build. But until you have that first start, life's pretty tough.
Yeah, we do a lot of persona work or avatar work where we're really trying to help clients and our partners figure out exactly who they want to go after and what that person's motivations are, what that person's preferences are, where they go to get information. So it sounds like doing that work up front is what you're absolutely recommending in order to be able to launch a successful campaign and also be able to more effectively nurture those people. One of the things that we do see is that clients and their partners, they tend to want to have everybody figured out. So they'll develop half dozen or more personas that they need to try to, or they want to try to reach, because they don't want to exclude anybody. But what I'm hearing from you is if you could just narrow that down to one or two and focus on those first, that's how you can gain the most momentum.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the best path. At least that's worked for me.
Great. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today about all of this. It's fascinating stuff. I'm really excited to see how people in the community here can get on board with this, because it feels like such a fantastic opportunity for people to to be able to not only reach out, but nurture those relationships that they're already building, just through all the good work that you guys are doing. How can people find out more about what you're up to?
Goodunited.io, or feel free to, connect with me on LinkedIn, Nick Black. And, I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can and see if, we could be a service, or our team would be happy to talk with you as well.
Yeah, that's great. I love having these conversations and talking with people who have just these fascinating and really valuable, platforms and resources. But I also really want people to take action. And you've given us a few things that people should do right away. But if there was one action that you'd like people to take who've listened to the show today, after hearing our conversation, what would you have them do?
Selfishly, I'd have them reach out to Good United to see if we could be a service. But unselfishly, I'd tell them to ask their team or take a look at their Facebook page to see if Facebook giving tools are turned on. You'll know if they're turned on if you see a ability for people to donate or for people to start a fundraiser on your behalf. If they're not on, you should turn them on. It's as close to free money as you're ever going to find.
Fantastic. I love those ideas. I'll be sure to share those in the show notes. Nick, it was really great talking with you today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm going to go tell everybody to go check out Facebook Giving. And thanks so much for being on the show. And there you have it, another great episode of Relish This. Thanks again for listening. You can find past episodes of the show at relishthis.org. And remember, if you liked what you heard today, please subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information on purpose marketing, grab your free copy of my book, Mission Uncomfortable: How Nonprofits Can Embrace Purpose-Driven Marketing to Survive and Thrive. Get your copy now at missionuncomfortablebook.com. Thanks again for listening. Come back next week, won't you?